Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Doctors Go Live. I am Nina. I'm going to be your host for today on Doctors Go Live. And today we are talking about stress and burnout when it comes to home caregivers. Let us know if you are tuning in, where you're tuning in right from, and let us know if you are safe with all that's happening with the flood and stuff, right? In today's episode, we're going to be talking about home caregivers, stress, and burnout. I see Momo is here. Momo, I hope you're safe. So nice to see you again. Thank you so much for joining us. And if you guys share this video out, you get to take part in Doctors Go Live quiz happening right at the end after the Q&A, where we've got some pulse oximeters up for grabs, okay? All this happening on Doctors Go Live with me, Nina, and today our special guest is Dr. Artiran Kaur. Now, what are we talking about today? Caring for our loved ones can be super rewarding. However, it comes with its own set of stresses. In fact, the emotional impact can snowball over time, and if left unchecked, it can take a toll on your health, your relationship, and even your state of mind. Okay, of not just the person who you are taking care of, but also of everyone involved. Okay, luckily there are steps that we can take in order to rein in the stress and regain a sense of balance, joy, and hope in our lives. So, what is caregiver burnout? What are some signs and symptoms of caregiver stress and burnout? What are its causes, and how can we prevent caregivers from these burnout and stress? All this is happening right now on Doctors Go Live. Now, if you know someone who's a home caregiver or who's about to be one, or if you think that this is such an important topic, please do share this video out, tag people, because this is such an important topic. A lot of people should know about this, okay? So it can make a difference in their life. So please do help us share this out. Again, today we're talking about home caregivers, stress and burnout, and the demands that come from caregiving can be super exhausting and overwhelming, but there are steps in which you can manage to take the stress and regain a sense of balance and peace in your life. So to help us understand this, we've got you the expert from Columbia Asia Extended Care Hospital, Shah Alam, Dr. Artiran Kaur. Dr. Artiran, welcome to the show. So
Thank
pleased to have
you.
you. Yeah, because this is such an
Thank you.
important topic as well for us, and especially as a country who's developing, we're seeing a rise in these numbers, right? Of taking
Definitely.
care of our elderly. So thank you so
Mhm.
much for joining us. And again, ladies and gentlemen, at the end of the show, you absolutely want to take part in our Doctors Go Live quiz, where we've got a pulse oximeter up for grabs. So you definitely want to listen to what Dr. Artiran has to share. Okay. So first things first, Dr. Artiran, can you share a little bit about yourself and what is it that you do? Yeah.
Okay, so I am okay. Hi, thank you for having me on board, Doctors Go Live. I've always seen all your shows, and I think you're doing a great job. Yeah.
Thank you.
So yeah, this topic is really a very good one, a very important one. I think anyone can relate to this. A little bit on myself. I am the medical officer in Columbia Asia Extended Care Hospital. We're located in Shah Alam. And Before working here, I've actually had an experience of running a mental health clinic for 4 years under the government. So I this is a topic very close to my heart. So
Mm,
when I joined Columbia Asia and working with all these caregivers, training caregivers before they take care of their patients at home, you see many things, and you really feel that there's a need to educate people on these matters that we're going to talk about today.
okay. What do you think the main challenge is? A lot of people don't understand or we're not aware about it.
I think awareness is one way of looking at it. Awareness is something that we need to improve that. The whole
Mm,
country needs to be a bit more aware on what
mm,
caregivers need, because we don't really care about caregivers. It's always the care recipient that we care for. It comes naturally. In
mm,
Eastern countries, in Asian cultures, we honor family bonds, we honor care of the elderly. It comes naturally. So it's always very natural for a caregiver to give. But what about the
right.
caregiver? What about the
Yeah, who's
caregiver?
giving to them, right?
Yes,
I
yes, we need
guess,
people look out for them.
yeah, and I guess it's kind of like the topic of on a plane, if those things come down, right? Those breathing thing, as an adult, you need to give yourself oxygen, because if you are not able to take care of yourself, you're not able to take care of the people around you, like your kids. So
That is
you need, yeah, you need to
that
be
is
that.
so true.
right? You need to be that full cup where it's overflowing and healthy so that you can be the best version of yourself to take care of other
Yes.
people. Because a
Yes.
crappy you will get crappy results. Let's just put it that way. Right?
Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, again, I want to acknowledge all these people for tuning in. Momo, Ethan, Ethan, thank you so much for sharing and tagging. Riziki Dean as well, and Zulkifli. Thank you so much, and Cecilia, thank you so much for joining us. Let us know in the comment what is it that you guys want to learn from today's session, because it's not always we get an expert, so we can get right down to it and get all that information out from Doc. All right. So first things first, Doc. Before we start, so that everybody is on the same level of understanding. When we talk about caregivers,
Mhm.
who do we really mean? Are there different types of caregivers, different types of caregiving? Could you share with us so that so that everybody has the same level of understanding?
Okay, so there are many kinds of caregivers. You have a family member who's a caregiver. You can have a paid helper as a caregiver. You can even have a professional nurse as a caregiver. Even just being in the hospital can be a form of caregiving. But usually caregivers are usually related. They're usually emotionally connected. They're usually a sibling, a spouse, a parent, or a son or daughter. Usually it's like that. And that comes with its own burdens as well. When you're emotionally connected, there's more fears, there's more anxiety as compared to someone who is a paid helper and a professional caregiver. So that is basically the two types of caregivers. Um, Caregiving comes with its own family dynamics.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, no, most of the times, I would say easily 80% or even more of the caregivers out there are usually a one-man show. It's usually a one-man
One.
show.
Oh,
It's usually a
okay.
one person with a very big obligation, all that work, all that responsibility on one pair of shoulders. So usually it's like that. We see that quite common.
Mm-hmm.
So it is good to address healthy caregiving or good mental health in caregiving, looking out for the caregiver as well.
Right, because it can
Mhm.
put a strain on them and their mental health as well. What are the different types of caregiving?
Okay. Different types of caregiving. Okay, there are so many ways of looking at it. There is, okay, whoever who needs caregivers support will be those who are maybe a child, maybe a sick
Mhm.
person, maybe someone with dementia, maybe an elderly, maybe a disabled person, someone who had an accident, who has head injury. Basically, all those who need caregiver support will be the ones who are dependent on care and daily needs. So
Right.
the caregiver support can vary from any of those, depending
Okay.
on what degree. Yeah.
Okay. Got it. And today, for the purpose of today's episode, we're going to be focusing on home caregivers, right?
Yes.
Okay. And home caregivers would be the ones who are related, I suppose, and the
Uh,
ones who are taking care of them.
the ones who are at home
Mhm.
struggling and just going day by day, pushing it one day at a time, pushing and pushing and pushing, not realizing that they are actually at risk of
Wow, that sounds so.
exhaustion. Yeah,
Mhm.
it is. It is. And they put themselves at risk of not to say a direct risk, but they have a tendency to get something as bad as even depression. And all these can be prevented. So the last thing you want is a caregiver being the patient as well.
Has
Mm.
that actually happened where the caregiver was so badly hit that they needed caregiving as well?
Yes.
Just wondered. Wow.
Yes.
Okay. So
Yes. Definitely.
this is a definitely
Definitely.
super important topic. So
Mm.
let's look at this. Yeah. So when we talk about caregivers, what do caregivers normally face that they're not aware about? How did they even get to this?
Okay.
Kind of thing. Mhm.
So it all starts out from having to take on a responsibility that they feel they can do, and I'm very sure they can do, because out of love you can do anything, correct?
Yes.
But when they're not in tune with or maybe focused on what the burdens actually are. When I say burdens, I don't like it, sounds a bit too negative. Let's just say obligations, responsibility, workload.
Mm-hmm.
If you can see that image I put below the word burden, you can see that big rock there. This
Yeah.
big rock, and this one person who's just holding it. That is what a caregiver goes through every day. And if you say a mom is a caregiver, but a mom is not okay. A child develops, a child grows from from dependent to independence, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that there's some change, there's growth, and it's even an enjoyable process. But
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to caring for those who uh,
Sick.
sometimes you have situations where it's a little bit more depressing. So that
Mm.
tends to be can pull the caregiver down because they themselves tend to be sad. We'll come to that
Mm.
a little bit later. But
Mm-hmm.
what I'm trying to say is that when the workload is a constant for a long
Mm-hmm.
period of time, definitely the stresses are going to be there.
You're
Also,
right.
constant, a long period of time can eventually cause exhaustion, fatigue,
Mm. Mm-hmm.
eventually burnout. And
Mm.
what we don't want is burnout is already something that we do not want. But what's
Right.
worse is when it actually, and that's a very thin line, yeah, between burnout and depression. You can't say for sure that, oh, this person doesn't have depression or this person has burnout. You can't say for sure. Anything, a simple smallest thing can trigger where the person can actually go into depression, and depression is another story altogether. Perhaps I'll talk a little bit on depression because this is something that is very relatable. Even those that
Mm-hmm.
are not caregivers can benefit a lot from it.
Mm.
So stress is basically, before I go to the depression, yeah, stress is a state of mental emotional strain and tension resulting from demanding circumstances. So
Mm-hmm.
it occurs when the demands exceed what our resources are, whether it is at home or maybe someone even at work. Stress can be anywhere, but stress is not necessarily a bad thing if it is in a tolerable
Mm-hmm.
amount. Because when you're having an exam, you want to be stressed, right? You don't want
Mm.
to be carefree. But when stress is too much for too long
Mm-hmm.
on one similar person, that's not going to be good. That's not
Mm-hmm.
going to be. And then there is fatigue. Yeah, okay. The difference between fatigue and exhaustion, I would say, is it's quite similar. It's quite similar. But
Mm-hmm.
when we are very, very tired, we can actually get resolved. Our tiredness gets resolved with rest. Yes? Well, fatigue, even if you're resting, you don't feel better. You still feel really, really exhausted
Wow.
and tired.
Okay.
So that's
So, do
that's
you ever recover from a fatigue? You can, or
can
it's uh-huh,
can
a long
after
time.
you identify the sources. If it is something that
Mm.
is mentally sourced, then you need to address those issues. And
Right.
if
Okay.
it's just something physical, like, okay, let's just talk basically about the floods lately. I'm sure
Mm.
there are many people who are actually having fatigue. It's true
Mm.
because they are pushing themselves to cook for more people, pushing themselves to go in and save people. And of course, there's another thing I'll talk about later is compassion fatigue, is when you see sad stories again and again, that again and again, that also can give you a sense of penat, you know?
Mm. Mm.
All right.
Okay.
I want to
Got
talk
it.
about burnout. So
Mm-hmm.
burnout is a overwhelming physical and emotional exhaustion together. You see, it's very much similar, all these wordings,
Mm.
but some are at a very much lower degree, and some are towards the end of the spectrum.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Anyone can suffer from burnout, provided that they not aware of the ways that they can prevent it, which I would like to talk about later. Okay, and
Okay.
then there's depression. Depression, or basically just a depressed mood. It's not depression yet. So when a
Mm-hmm.
person starts feeling really down, really sad, they don't like to do the things that they like. They seem very withdrawn, very different from the character that they used to be. If you see someone like this for about a week, you tend to know something's happening. But if it has prolonged for 2 weeks, that is something that needs some kind of intervention already. Okay.
Wow. Okay.
Yep.
So if I notice a different mood of a person, very quiet, very withdrawn, and if it continues for 2 weeks, that means Houston, we have a problem, right?
Yes,
Yeah, very
likely,
likely.
depending on what the cause is. If it's the cause, if the cause is something that is very resolvable, then the problem won't go away. But usually, those that struggle for a period of 2 weeks, they can't solve the problem on them by themselves.
Right.
So,
Okay.
and what are the other kinds of symptoms that they have? Yeah, in depression, they have a
Mhm.
persistent feeling of sadness. They have
Mm,
tearfulness for no reason. You just tend to just tear.
mhm,
Okay,
mhm.
and then trouble doing normal activities. That means it takes so much of effort to just brush your teeth. It takes so much of
Wow.
effort to just take that spoon and put that food in your mouth.
Mhm.
So this
Wow.
is these
Okay.
are symptoms of depression, yeah. And sometimes
Okay.
they start feeling worthless, hopeless. They start feeling
That's a,
empty. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that's a
This is
very
all forms of
dangerous
depression.
level to be, right?
Yes, yes, and
Yeah.
caregivers do struggle from this. And the
Mhm.
only thing that keeps them from falling in too deep is hope.
Hope.
Hope
Okay.
that the person that they care for will get better if they hold on.
Right.
Hmm.
Okay. Let's answer the very difficult question. Do the person that they take care of, do they act, is, do majority of them actually get better?
Well, that depends on a case to case basis. If
Um,
someone had suffered a stroke, usually they get very much better with
right.
proper intensive physiotherapy and good family support.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas some other cases, like something a bit more on the permanent side, like a spinal cord injury, for instance, that will be, they will have some lifelong. Um,
Impact, right? For the rest of
yeah,
their
yeah,
lives.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's a really dangerous place to be, I would say. Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So, speaking about that, what is it that caregivers are doing that they're not realizing? And I think it's very true
Um,
for us here in Asia, right?
okay, so I think most of the time in Asia, what we do is we honor family bonds. We have this thing called filial piety. It means
Mm-hmm.
that uh, we must take care of our elders. We must take care of our ancestors, things like that. It's a generation thing, which they don't really practice much in the West.
Mm-hmm.
So when this happens, the caregiver might or might not be ready to take on that duty, but they are obliged to do so. This is
Mm-hmm.
some situations, not all, yeah, but there are quite a
Mm-hmm.
few like this. So and some they don't can't really afford the extra pair of hands. They can't really afford respite care. I'll talk more about that later. So
Mm-hmm.
so then they don't know how to cope. They don't know
Okay.
how to cope. Hmm.
So it's like basically getting into something without realizing that you might be in too deep or not being mentally prepared for it, I guess,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Okay.
So
So
yeah.
I get, yeah. So which goes to our next slide, I guess. What do you mean by compassion fatigue? You mentioned that earlier.
Okay, so compassion fatigue is when someone has a physical or physical and mental exhaustion, and emotionally they get withdrawn because they've been exposed to this for a very very long time. That they start to develop fatigue of compassion. They start to develop apathy.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a very dangerous thing, yeah, because if you don't want to have compassion fatigue when you want to care for someone you love. But
Mm-hmm.
sometimes these things do happen, and before all these can happen, it will be really good to prevent. Yeah.
Okay, got it. So what happens when you have compassion fatigue?
What happens is you
And
will
it's
have
different from the normal fatigue, right?
no, no, no.
Yeah,
Normal fatigue is your bodily
body.
fatigue. You're
Uh-huh.
tired, you're penat, you know. But
Mm,
compassion fatigue is like, okay, for instance, let's just say you hear a story about an earthquake and you
mhm.
feel really sorry about someone. It's very traumatizing. And then you hear a story about a typhoon, and then it's so depressing. And then there's the pandemic, and then it's like tak habis-habis, you know,
Another.
continuously you just get so tired emotionally, and you tend to suddenly not feel anymore. Can you understand what I'm trying to say? That is
Mhm.
something called compassion fatigue. But that is nothing to do with caregiver. That is a very general statement. But when it
I
comes to
see.
caregiver, you are actually living with the trauma of the patient. That means the patient's suffering is your suffering. The patient's fear for that is your fear for that.
Mm-hmm.
And over a long period of time, you tend to be numb. That
Mm.
can happen. That can happen.
Okay, got it. And I guess this goes into the emotional exhaustion thing as well, right? So how does this affect the caregiver?
Okay, so the second slide that I had all those different images and the
Uh-huh.
words. So all that it's all interrelated.
Mm-hmm.
When you have a stress and burden and stress, it comes together. If okay, burden and stress is considered as burden and stress because of how we think, of how we feel. If we got it right at the first stage, here you don't really progress and get into the fatigue and the burnout and the depression. But if we don't really know how to manage the stress and the burden, you will have emotional exhaustion, which will resort to eventually become physical exhaustion. It starts off being tired up here, and then your body gets tired as well because it's over a long
Mm.
period of time.
And
And then
and how is
you have
yeah,
sorry,
the mental exhaustion?
and then comes the mental exhaustion. So when I say emotional up here is um, our feelings sometimes, not sometimes, our feelings do affect our mind. But when I say
Mm.
mental exhaustion is when the most tired exhaustion is actually the mental exhaustion, you know.
Mm.
Physical exhaustion is still okay. Mental
Mhm.
exhaustion is when you just can't help yourself.
Right. Okay. So it's like
Mm.
a completely different state, and then it goes
It is
into
the worst state. It's the worst
okay.
state. So that at
Worse.
that point of time, you kind of can't really help yourself. This is at caregiver burnout.
Wow. Okay.
Mhm. And then you
Mm-hmm.
start having this chronic negativity. This is where the depression sets in. You know why? Because when someone is not able to be positive anymore, they are having this battle between themselves, and this is the time we really need help before this person goes into a worse form of depression. You
Mm-hmm.
see, like depression, I think I spoke some things about depression, but I did not mention suicide, yeah?
Uh,
Because one part of depression will be psychotic symptoms and even
mm,
suicide attempts and all that. So that is the end spectrum of the depression. Lah. So
okay.
that is
Got it.
something that we must prevent at all cost. So what happens here is you see that green arrow going to the side?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah, that is a little button there saying care for myself. Very
Right.
important.
So all what
Very
you're
important.
really saying that all this can be prevented, and
Yes,
it
definitely.
sounds like it starts from that lighter yellow color there. That it's about learning. If you're able to manage that, then the rest kind of comes into place.
Yes, but it's
You know.
not just on the okay. We're teaching the caregivers to be more knowledgeable about how to care for yourself, but we're also trying to teach those around the caregivers to look at this. Watch out, watch
Mm,
out. Don't let them progress to caregiver fatigue, caregiver burnout. Let's watch out for them. You see, they're having caregiver stress and burden.
mm,
Let's help them. Let's
okay.
give them some opportunity, some respite care, some extra help. Hmm.
Mhm. Okay. Do you think that a lot of this is stemming because we tend to put other people first instead of us, especially caregivers?
I think that is the nature of caregiving, that they
Mm,
always put the nature of caregiving is such that that's why caregivers are so wonderful. They're
mm-hmm.
wonderful people, you know,
Very
they're a wonderful
special.
community. Did you know that there's a National Caregiver month? It's on the 1st of
Wow.
November. Yeah, it's on the 1st of
Wow. I
November.
did not
So
know that.
every 1st of November, but that's the thing, our knowledge in Malaysia, we don't value it as much as we should. But this community, the caregivers, they are wonderful people, yeah. If without caregivers, can you imagine growing as a child without a proper mom to give us the care that we need? So that
Mhm.
it is so important. The
It's
same
so
thing goes
underestimated, I think, in this
very
country,
much.
right?
And
Yeah.
and
Okay.
and these caregivers, they work for free.
Wow.
There's no
Yeah.
monetary remuneration usually, as compared to a professional person who's doing this for a job.
Mm-hmm.
The better you are at it, the more you get more recommendations, or you get more money back.
Yeah.
But when it comes to a caregiver who is very good at their job, what they get sometimes is more work.
Yes. Okay.
So it is good, but it is also not good. So we have to be very
Mm.
careful. It's very delicate, yeah. Mm.
Mm. Okay, so if you guys are getting this, let us know in the comment section. How do you feel about caregivers? Are they appreciated? Are they not? What can be done? Let us know in the comment section. Yeah. Um, Talking about care, while waiting for you guys to answer, talking about caregivers. When we talk about all these effects on caregivers, what sort of statistics do we have if we look at Malaysia? Do we even have statistics?
Actually, in Malaysia, we do not have good statistics on this matter.
Okay.
We have good statistics in the US, though. This one is from Colombia. But we can actually model the statistics because a lot of caregivers in America are also, you see that the way the demographics, the way the health status in in America is somewhat similar to Malaysia.
Okay.
So, yeah, we can use this data, but for
Mm.
Malaysia, no, they don't have enough data, which is sad to see. I think this is something that we need to look into in the future.
Again, it goes back to, not seeing the importance of caregivers, I guess, right?
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
But
Very
so if
unrealistic.
we were to use the US data, what can it tell us?
So we can know for a fact that a lot of women are caregivers, and 1 in 4 women are caregivers. That is
Mhm.
how common you see a woman who has to do the job of a caregiver. That means that one woman, or okay, men too. Men can be caregivers too, but usually it's always very common to see women as caregivers, and they are cooking, they are cleaning, they are educating the children. Some of them are still working and taking care of a parent, and probably taking care of a sick child. The
Mhm.
combination can vary. So this can
Mhm.
be very it can be too much. It can be
It
too
can
much.
take a toll on someone, right?
Definitely, definitely. And most of this caregiver, most of the time, caregiver is very intense and lengthy process.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Okay, got it. Before we continue, Riziki and Jasmine, we've got some questions. We'll address that right at the end. So keep the questions coming. Yeah, just type it in the chat. So, with this slide, what can you share with us, Doc?
Okay, so in US, this is quite latest data, 2020. They managed to get this data during the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
So even at that time, with so much going on, you could see a rise in needs for caregivers. Caregiving, everything, every figure shows an increment. So this is something to worry about, yeah. And as you can see below, so most of the components of caregivers usually more towards women. Men also
Mm-hmm.
got, and we need to look into this marginalized community. Yeah.
Okay, got it, got it.
Mhm.
So looking at this data, we can tell that it's the numbers are increasing, right? The number of caregivers are increasing, right?
Yeah.
So
This
because
means
of
that there
this,
are more sick people. This means that there are more sick people. This reflects
okay.
health. This reflects
Wow.
health. This
Mhm.
reflects so many things. I mean, it depends on if you actually look at the
Mhm.
actual data of where you get it from. It could be people with diabetes, people with stroke, people with
Mhm.
hypertension. All these are preventable diseases which progress with age and time and genetics. Then there could also be cases with accidents, or maybe post COVID. You never know,
Mm.
breathing difficulties. So numbers will rise. Caregivers will be needed more and more. And if one caregiver handles more work, macam mana?
Yes, lah. Okay, so let's take a look at this. So since the number of caregiving is going up,
Mhm.
what are some warning signs of caregiver stress and burnout? What do we look out for? How do we know if we have
Okay.
it? Yeah,
So
this is gonna be a long slide.
there's a lot that I can explain in this. I just put pictures
Please
here.
do.
But
Yeah.
yeah. So the first picture, you see there's a lot of organs.
Mm-hmm.
So we start from the brain lah, yeah. So there are
Mm-hmm.
short-term effect and long-term effect. I'm going to talk about stress. Stress on its own can give you a lot of effects. Can affect your brain by making short term. It can make you feel very worried, nervous, unable to relax, and then long term it might give you tension type headaches, and also mental health problems such as anxiety, depression, all that. To the heart, you have the heart beating faster and harder, and then long term you can even have heart problems like arrhythmia. You can have like serious heart problems, ischemic heart diseases. You can have all these clots in your heart because of stress can cause, it increases the possibility of atherosclerosis. So increases stroke also. It's all a vicious cycle, you see, stress. And then if your immunity tends to become a bit
So,
lower. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
a bit lower when there is prolonged stress. If it's a bit of stress, you won't affect your immunity. But if it's such a long time, 5 years, 6 years of constant stress, you're not going to be very healthy. You're going to get sick often. You're going to have that flu really easy because of
Wow.
prolonged stress. And then lungs. When someone has stress, they tend to breathe faster, they tend to
Mm-hmm.
hyperventilate. So that can be a long-term effect. They can have some trouble breathing, they can have panic attacks. This is also kind of related to the mental side as well. But when you have difficulty breathing, how not to panic? Any
Mm.
layperson will think that they're actually having a heart attack. So it can happen from just stress. The source is actually something else. And tummy issues, in the tummy area, tummy issues, diarrhea, long term, you can have gastritis, you can have metabolic disorders, you can have diabetes, you can have gastric. Yeah, gastric is very common side effect of stress.
Wow.
If
Okay.
it's really, really bad, you can even have bleeding from the tummy. So, yeah. And
Okay. So,
mm,
go on. You were saying?
I have a long, long list more. I'll just make it very short. Joint pains, body aches, and also sometimes reduced libido, fertility issues. So all this is just that first image that I showed you, all those organs. Other than that, you have this body aches, difficulty sleeping,
Mm-hmm.
no appetite, angry, irritable. You tend to not know why you're so angry, why you're scolding someone you don't want to scold. It
Mm.
happens. And then the final picture is about suicidal thoughts and ideations. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Okay. So
All
there's
these
a
can be
lot.
warning signs. Yep.
Yeah. Also, there's a lot to take in. I mean, there's a lot of symptoms that can,
There's
warning
more
signs.
actually. There's more, but it's a bit too long, so I don't think I can say so
Okay,
many
got it.
things.
Okay, so how does one, okay, with all this is happening, there's so many things, right? So how does one deal with caregiving burnout, stress? How
Okay.
do we cope with
So
it? And are there ways to prevent it?
yes, there are ways to prevent it. You need to identify. Uh, First of all, you need to be aware of what you feel. The
Okay.
person who's going through it, they need to have an insight. It's very hard to help someone if they don't acknowledge the fact that they are struggling. They don't
Mm-hmm.
acknowledge the fact that they need help. They don't acknowledge the fact that they actually can't cope. It's a tricky thing, because sometimes they feel obliged to say, I can manage my loved one because they did so much for me. But you are struggling. So we need to keep an eye. If we see that someone is having all these symptoms, check on them. Ask them, how are you? Are you okay? Then you might just share everything and then they can get the care they need. Usually, the care they need will be counseling, seeking proper counseling. Sometimes they need medication. That depends on what the psychiatrist thinks that they need. But that is a different thing altogether. The idea of having this talk is to not reach that in the first place. So
Mm. Okay.
if you want to cope with caregiver burnout, we identify the causes. So the main causes would be when they prioritize the needs of everyone else and the interests of everyone else before theirs. When
Mm-hmm.
they have unrealistic expectations. Okay, this one is a bit trickier because unrealistic expectations, when you say, okay, say if someone has a family member who is suffering from cancer and they just can't let go, it's so difficult, yeah, to bring them to ground and say that this is going to happen, and so. It's not It's not kind. So what the
Mm-hmm.
best way to do is let them hold on that hope.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on that
Okay.
hope, because hope is their fuel to be a good caregiver. But
Yes.
explore all possibilities so that they can have a realistic expectation. You get what I mean?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So it's a very subtle thing. This one, probably a palliative physician has to address it to the family and take it as a group thing. But sometimes when people have burnout, they say something to people around them. They want to seek some support, and the people actually maybe give them the cold shoulder or tell them that no, 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 it's okay, small thing, you can handle it. That is the wrong person to speak to. Yeah.
Right.
So
Okay. Got it. And
lack of support from family, and they juggle multiple commitments, handling a
mm,
baby, handling all this, So the signs, as we spoke of earlier, the prevention tips. Now, this is important.
yes.
So we set realistic expectations, right? As how I explained earlier. And you
Mm,
embrace your role as a caregiver. That means you put your mind into it that, okay, this is difficult, but I can do this, but I need to be cautious about this.
okay.
Since you know that there are stress, there is burden, there's all this is going to be there. So you are aware of it. When you are aware of it, it won't really come off guard. Practice self-care. This is something that's so important. We're going to have a separate slide on this on its own.
Okay. Got
And
it.
yeah, join a caregiver support group. Yes, the right people to speak to is the best thing, because
Mm,
you will really feel better. And there are so many support groups we will share later. Yeah, and
mm.
take regular breaks. You really must learn how to take breaks. You deserve
Okay. And
it.
what do you mean by breaks? If you can
Okay,
share more.
getting someone to cover you for a short while you go to the garden and have a decent cup of tea, while you
Mm,
just don't think of anything, that is a good break. Yeah,
okay.
sometimes you don't even have toilet time, just like taking care of a baby. Sometimes it's like this. So
That
you need
sounds like me during the pandemic. I'm so busy live. I don't have time to go to the bathroom.
So yeah, they regular breaks can be taken if the caregiver realizes that they should take it. You have to
Right.
actively make that intervention. How do you
Okay.
do that? You have to voice out and ask for help. People will help. Of
Okay.
course, some people don't want to help. You have that, but you need to know how to put yourself first.
Mm, okay.
And then relax, meditate. Yeah, this goes without saying lah. This is something that is really, really good. It really helps, because when you breathe, you actually calm yourself down and you actually heal on its own. Asking for help is another prevention tip. Yeah, um, it's really critical at times when you feel that you just need a break. Yep.
Mm, okay. Got it. Okay. So since we're talking about self-care,
Yeah.
what can we do to how important is self-care? What are the ways that we can practice self-care?
Okay. So self care uh, is all of this, right? Self
Hmm.
care is practicing self compassion. This one word is a beautiful word, but sometimes some people don't understand what it means.
Yeah.
Self
What does it
compassion.
mean?
Okay,
Mm,
what is compassion? Compassion means when someone has a difficult, someone is in a difficult situation, you actually soothe them, you tell them it's okay, you did your best,
mhm.
you're fine, it'll be better days will come. That is compassion. But self compassion means you must have the ability to do the same thing to yourself. That means everyone has limitation to the stress he or she can take. But to give oneself the permission to rest, the permission to cry, the permission to relax, the permission to say, you did a good job, it's okay, to yourself. This is self compassion. It's not easy. It's not easy.
Mhm.
But if somebody can actually master this, you are already your own winner. Self compassion is wonderful. It's a
Mm,
very tricky thing. Yeah, it's not easy even for me. Sometimes, like, say, if I were to want to practice self compassion, I would forget. But
mm.
we must learn this art. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I
And
would think
also,
caregivers.
and also as Asians, this concept is like almost foreign to us, right? It's like self
Definitely, yeah,
care, self
yeah.
compassion, self love,
Mm.
and we're like, what are you talking about? Of course, I love myself, but then we don't know we're putting other
Yes,
people. Yeah,
yes.
right.
Of course, I love myself. Of course, I love myself. Yes, of course, I love myself. But do you allow to give yourself that short break when you most need it? At the
Right.
time when you feel you most shouldn't take. You know what I mean? That means the stressor is the most, and that is the time you are needed the most. But that is the
Mm-hmm.
time you need time out. Take the time out.
Mm-hmm.
Take the time out. Take that small 5 minutes. It's a small win. It's a small win that you need. You cannot afford to wait for that big break. You cannot afford to wait for that trip in a pantai or something. You can't wait for that. You need to have small wins to sustain, to keep yourself
Right.
happy. So you do
Okay.
something that you like: eat, pray, dance, laugh, sleep, walk, sing,
Like
read an
what Stephen is
inspirational quote.
saying here,
All these,
Dan.
yeah, all these. And
Okay.
what my favorite would be try the mindfulness exercise. The second image I shared, this mindful breathing one here, that's my
Mm-hmm.
favorite video on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
So I would love to encourage all of you to go on YouTube and look for this image. It's only 3 minutes, only
Mm-hmm.
3 minutes.
Right. Mindful breathing.
Just go
Oh,
through this because you will realize that you will have a sense of a release without being judged. It's good.
mhm. Okay,
Mm.
fantastic. So look up on YouTube that, that there are videos on how to meditate and calm yourself down, mindful breathing, so that could actually help as well. Keep
Mhm.
the questions coming because we're going to be answering them right after the session. Yeah. So we looked into self care. What other support can caregivers get? What about professional help? What do we mean by
Okay.
professional help, and how does it help?
So professional help, okay, for instance, like what I do, right? So we are in a extended care hospital where we have cases that we have families that need support for someone to take care of their loved one
Mm-hmm.
um, for a short while,
Mm-hmm.
where they can have a break. That is called respite time. Respite time.
Ooh,
So
okay. Uh-huh.
respite care is it can be in-house in respite care, meaning someone comes and babysits the patient
Uh-huh.
while you go for maybe a massage or something, right?
Uh-huh.
Or it can be a outsourced respite care, like you go to a center, like something like what we do here. Um, so
So let me get this straight. What could you share with us? What is it that you guys do at your hospital?
Okay, so we intensive basically we are a center with
Mm-hmm.
doctors, with nurses, with rehab, with a very good rehab team, and we actually we help the patients to recover and get better after a stroke, for instance,
Mm-hmm.
or whatever illness they may have. Some even come here for palliative care.
Mm-hmm.
Palliative care means someone who has terminal illness.
Mm-hmm.
They come here for short bits of time, and sometimes we also have patients with fractures that they recover. They come here and they recover slowly, and then they go home. And we
Like,
also train the caregivers. You see, we train the
uh,
caregivers before we send
take
them
care.
home.
Okay,
Yeah, we
and you
train them
do
for
respite
free.
care as well. You do respite care as well,
Yes, yes.
where
Respect is really important. It's very
uh,
important. So I think any caregiver,
mhm,
having known that they want to, they're going to be a caregiver, right? So you need to know, okay, I might be facing stress and burden. I might be facing stress, but I must know how to control this stress. I must know what my options are, who to ask for help. Um, and also, I must know that I have alternatives such as respite care in case I need it. Yeah.
okay,
Mm.
fantastic. So basically, when people you have people who drop off their parents or the people that they're taking care of, so that they can take care of themselves. So it's almost like a
Yeah.
daycare center or daycare, like a
It's
boarding school
actually
for a week.
we have some cases like that, not too many, but it's very. Let me share some experience with you. No names,
Okay.
yeah. But
Uh-huh.
I come across some wonderful people with
Uh-huh.
very good family dynamics,
Uh-huh.
where the patient wants the caregiver to have a break.
Mm-hmm.
The patient wants the
Oh,
caregiver to have a break. and the caregiver can't let go.
Oh,
So
really? Wow.
yes,
Okay.
so they are here with us, and they are video calling all the time and in touch and everything, and we take care of them. So
Mm.
yeah, like something like that.
So that is what professional support is. How awesome is that?
Yes.
And it can actually work out. It doesn't have to be traumatizing or difficult. It can
No,
actually be.
not at all, not traumatizing at
Yeah.
all. In fact, they benefit a lot because when they
Mhm.
come here, we pick up on few things that you can't do at
Mhm.
home. You see,
Ah,
we pick
could you
up
give
on
us an
things.
example? Mm.
Well, for instance, a lot of people at home, they've been at home for a long time, for years. So they haven't done sugar checks, they haven't done a routine blood test. So we can do everything, and there are doctors here to check on all these things. And if they need to start on something, we start it here, and then they can continue on their care at home.
Wow.
And
So
yeah,
it sounds like a fantastic relationship where they get
yes, it
checked
is.
and everything.
It
Yeah.
is. It is.
Amazing.
And oh, we have got a lot of good
And
reviews.
yeah, because a lot of people, when we think we drop off the parents at a different place, who we're not thinking, it makes us feel guilty that we're very bad children. I think a lot of Asians tend to feel that way, but it can actually be better, and it can be, it can be good for everyone in the long term, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Quality over quantity. So your parents or your anyone, you would
Mm,
want them to get the best care when you are at your best condition. You know,
mm,
it's
mhm,
important. It's so important. I can't emphasize that enough. Sometimes
mm.
everyone needs a break. You know.
Yeah, cool. And
Mhm.
Jasmine is saying this respite care is really good for those caregivers to have a break. It is. It sounds amazing. Okay, I have a
Yes.
question. So with all this
Mm.
professional help,
Mm.
a lot of does it sound expensive? Is there a way we can be smart about it? What's
Yes,
your advice? Yeah.
a lot of our patients do that. They don't come and stay here for 6 months. They come and
Mm-hmm.
stay here for short bits, bouts of moments. So they have like they have like, okay, 2 weeks admission. They do that. They do that
Okay.
to check on everything, and then after that, okay, Papa, you come back. We settle the house. Sometimes we have respite care for home renovations. We don't. It's not. It's a safer place while they renovate their home. We have a lot of things like that.
I think
Now
some
with the
people would probably
floods,
go
oh
like,
my
"Can I
God.
send our kids to you
No,
for
we don't
respite
take
care?"
children. We don't take children, but actually there are cases like cerebral palsy and all that. They need a lot of
Uh-huh.
care, proper
Yeah.
care,
Uh-huh.
proper intensive care. You need to check on them 24/7. It's not just a simple thing. But unfortunately, we do not take cerebral palsy cases unless they're above a certain age.
I
Mm.
see. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So finishing up our part, so we can go straight because there's a lot of
Mm.
questions here.
Okay.
What other support can caregivers get in order to support them?
Okay, so this is the list of available support in Malaysia. Okay, and I look at the Hospice Malaysia's Carer Guidebook. Even though someone is not suffering from terminally illness, you can still learn from that hospice guide.
Mm,
And actually, hospice is a wonderful way of looking at things. You keep the patient comfortable, but the only thing about hospice is they only cater to cancer patients.
I
So a
see.
lot of people miss out, yeah. A lot of people miss out from hospice. So where do they
Okay.
go? They need the equal care actually. So then you must think of other alternatives. Either give the good support at home. The best way to give the best support at home is try to not make it a one man show.
Okay,
So
got
that
it.
you see, for instance, I would love it if I have a lot of teenagers watching right now, because then they can say, "Oh, mommy, I need to check on you because you're
Mm.
doing a lot for everyone." You know?
Mm.
Yeah, but
Learn
I'm
the
quite sure that
sandwich
I'm quite sure there are no teenagers here today. But well, they can always share later, and.
Mhm. Okay,
And
cool. All right. So there is support. All we need to do is just look for the right support because different types of caregiving require different types of support, and there's
yes,
unique stuff that you need support with. Yeah. So
yep,
whatever it is, it you do have support out there. You're not going through this alone. There's somebody else out there who's going through what you go through, so you can really shorten the learning curve. And
correct.
if not, reach out to Dr. Artiran at Columbia
Mhm.
Asia because they are experts in this and they actually help train caregivers as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
kind of thing as
All
part
our
of their.
patients, yeah,
Mhm.
all our patients who get discharged, we we really put a lot of effort into training them until they are confident, unless they don't want to get the training, but usually they take it because it's free.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, so in summary, in general, when we talk about caregiving, how do we approach home caregiving? What is the mindset we need to have, and how should we approach it before we tackle it head on?
The mindset is to think that you need to the self care. You know, self care.
Yes.
Emphasize on that.
Mm,
Know when to switch on self care.
mm-hmm,
Sounds so simple, right? But it is so
mm,
difficult to do because there's no one's going to tell you, okay, you need to start practicing self care. You need to do it on your own.
mm.
So when you
There's
feel
no
that you
manual,
are
right?
no, there's no manual. When you feel exhausted physically, don't wait until it becomes a mental exhaustion. Start to practice self-care. Start to practice small wins, taking out little time, take a break, ask for help, have someone help with the chores, have someone help to buy the vegetables instead of you going doing everything, have someone help to fetch the kid so that you can manage, little bit of time, you steal a bit here and there, you can you can sustain a better mental health. So the wise say healthy mommy equals healthy baby. We know this. Everybody knows this. Even I know this as a mommy. But healthy caregiver also equals a healthy care recipient, a care receiver. If you are not well, what's going to happen to that patient? What's going to
Yeah.
happen to the person? You know, the last thing we want is for us to unintentionally neglect and cause pain. And that will be even more hurtful and more regretful. So that's why sometimes things like this, money you can find.
Mm.
Money you can find, but mental health, you must prioritize. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Got it. So, I'm going to look into the questions right now. So, if you guys have your
Mm.
questions, please let us know in the comment section. But I would actually ask you, what's the biggest mistake that people make when it comes to caregiving? What's the biggest mistake that a lot of people make?
Okay, the biggest mistake would be
Mm-hmm.
to not take a break. To not take a break, to not practice, to not know that you are actually in need of a break. That is one big mistake. Another big mistake will be to not know when you should ask for help.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Mm.
Wow. To know when to not when to ask for help, and a
When to
lot of
ask for
people.
help. So that's
Okay.
a form of awareness, you see. It's a form of awareness. So they don't realize that they are actually drowning, slowly drowning.
Mm.
Mm.
Just like the flood, at least the flood, you know your the water's coming up. This one you don't even know, right?
You don't
Okay.
even know.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go into the questions now. So Rezeki Dean is asking, apa penyebab emosi seperti meroyan selepas bersalin?
Okay, okay.
You know what
So
meroyan is? You don't know how to explain
yes,
that in
I
English,
know, I
right?
know. It's postpartum depression. So basically,
Ah,
it's a good question, yeah, because
okay.
this question is, I mean, this is something that people really go through. A large number of Malaysians go through this, but it is underreported. The statistics don't show. Okay,
Mm.
so meroyan, so basically
And they always
postpartum
say that
depression.
they've gone crazy, right? Which
Okay,
is not
so
true,
let me
right?
say meroyan is a
Uh-huh.
very funny way of saying it, but actually, let's just say postpartum depression. It is
Uh-huh.
depression. It is
Wow.
depression. Whatever I explained just now is the same thing. It's just that poor human being is postpartum. She just delivered. After delivery, hormones are at its height, at its
Uh-huh.
peak, and not only that, support might be a little bit
Lacking.
challenging. I wouldn't say
Uh-huh.
lacking, challenging.
Uh-huh.
There might be external issues as well. You never know. So
Uh-huh.
this is penyebab emosi meroyan selepas bersalin is all of those I mentioned. And please
Right.
please take extra care for this person because the chances for her to progress into a real depression is very high, and into suicide also very high, very high.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
So
because it's different from caregiver. Yeah, why?
yeah.
Because this one hormonally, her hormones are playing a role here as well.
Okay.
Hormones are playing a
Okay.
role. As it is depression, you have hormones unstable up here. Your
Mm.
dopamine, your neurotransmitters. Neurotransmitters are not balanced, giving you all these symptoms called depression. So
Mm-hmm.
for a person who has postpartum depression, you've got that and also the pregnancy hormones. On top of
Mm.
that,
So double whammy.
double whammy, double whammy.
Wow. Okay.
So
So I
the
think we also need to stop saying. I mean, yeah, the cultural thing here is Maroyan, and it's easy to
mm,
just wipe sweep it off. But actually,
mm,
it is what it is. It's depression, and we need to call it for what it is. It is
mm,
depression,
mm,
and because she's got the pregnancy hormones, it might
mm,
just be double worse. So please look out for women like this because
mm,
they
mm,
are in a
mm.
danger zone. Yeah. Thank you so
So,
much for
yeah, thank you for that question. Another word for meroyan will be the right way. The term will be kemurungan lah.
kemurungan. It's actually depressy. Yeah.
Yes,
It's
depressing.
a, thank you
Mm.
very much, Riziki. That is
Yeah,
really
thank you
interesting.
so much for the question.
Yeah.
Very good
Um,
question.
and somebody else is also saying that with all this banjir, Zulkifli saying semasa banjir sekarang ni ramai orang stress, and then Rezeki is adding office habits are also bad, so it makes you stressful, especially when you have a boss yang tidak prihatin. So
Okay. So
so there's
stress
more.
at workplace, yeah?
Yeah,
Stress at
yeah, and
workplace.
also the
Okay.
banjir stress also can affect us, right?
Yeah, definitely. Okay. I'll give you one example, yeah. Caregiver,
Mm-hmm.
working from home,
Mm-hmm.
working from home,
Mm-hmm.
handling maybe
With us.
whatever lah, whoever, whatever patient, whatever family, let's say. Okay, let's say a caregiver working from home and
Mm-hmm.
has a mother-in-law who requires, who is bedbound.
Mm-hmm.
So her stresses are a lot. Also stress from boss. Can you imagine?
Yes. And
Yes.
kids at home also,
And
right?
kids at home.
Yeah.
So how to address? It's not easy lah. She needs help. She
Needs
needs
help.
help.
Okay.
She needs help.
What
She
do you
needs help.
suggest for that sort of thing? Same
Okay.
steps, right?
Okay, it's a little bit more complex, yeah, because when you look at a one-to-one case basis like this, you need to see the family dynamics.
Okay.
Some families, they have very good dynamics. You know, like for example, the patient that that
Mm.
admitted with us, the patient wanted the caregiver to get time off.
Rest.
The family dynamics is so lovely that they just care for each other and they look out for each other. Sometimes the family dynamics is not that great. So
Yes.
that's another stressor altogether. So we're looking
Example
at the
of a
family support.
example of a not great family dynamic so that we can have an idea would be
So many examples. Maybe okay, maybe you have one family, but one person maybe is on drug abuse.
okay.
That affects the whole family.
Okay.
It affects the
That
whole
would
family
be an
one way or
extreme
another.
case. But let's
That
say
will be an extreme case.
nobody's on drug, but they might
Okay.
not be
If
really
nobody's
hunting.
on
So
drug,
example.
if nobody's on drug, then maybe you just have a spouse who's not looking out for the caregiver. The
Okay.
caregiver is doing alone, and sometimes there's so many combinations of how things can be very complicated. Sometimes there's financial issues.
Mm.
See,
Okay.
so yeah.
Okay.
Like that.
All right.
Hmm.
So
I
I
hope I
guess
answered the question. The question was basically with the boss and also with the floods. So I'm
stress.
guessing.
All these add to stress, and I suppose it can lead to
Yeah.
depression and stuff like
Okay,
that,
so
right?
when it comes
How
down
do
to
we handle
stress, right? What do you handle? Okay, I think first of all, take a deep breath. Take a deep breath.
it? Mm-hmm.
Calm your mind
Yeah.
down because when we are so stressed up here, kan, we will start thinking too fast, and we need a breather to just cool down for a bit. Take a deep breath and start thinking positive. Not easy. It's difficult. Negative thoughts are automatic. They come and they take over. But you challenge those thoughts. It's a bit tricky, yeah. You challenge those thoughts by trying to put that same situation and think positive. This will be a whole different talk altogether,
Mm-hmm.
but it's very important, yeah. Positive thinking, very important. I can't emphasize that enough. But it's
I
not just
absolutely agree with you.
hmm,
I couldn't agree with you more. So,
hmm,
if you would love to hear more on this positive thinking and how to handle stress, maybe let us know in the comment section so that we can see what we can do in a future episode. Yeah.
hmm.
Yeah, sounds good.
Can.
Maybe you can bring Dr. Artiran back again. Yeah. Uh, yeah. So next question, Jasmine is asking, is there a hotline for caregivers? And Razaki Dean is also asking, budak boleh kena stress ke? Like I said, I'll let
Boleh. Okay, first question first. Hotline for caregivers. Okay, I do not have a hotline for caregivers, but usually anyone who has any issues, if you want something urgent, a hotline, you can call Talian Noor. Talian Nur Kasih. The number is 15999. If I'm not mistaken. I'm not too sure, but you can get it
Kalian
online.
kasih.
You can
You
get
can
it online.
Google it.
That is, that is,
Yeah.
yeah. That is if urgent, you need to speak to someone. But I suggest you reach out to the support group, slowly get into the support group, speak to them face to face, either through Zoom or something. It's much better.
Okay, got it. And do kids suffer from stress?
Okay, before we go to the stress one, there's another thing, the nursing care and rehabilitation center.
Uh-huh.
Do we, yeah, okay. So actually, I can read out a number. I can read out a number to you. If you, the one who's asking the question, you can contact 011
Uh-huh.
3372
Mhm.
4136. Okay, so this is a nursing care and rehabilitation center, which is our center, and we can help out. We can help out in what you may need. We do help out. All our patients, we do get advice directly to the doctors.
Okay, fantastic.
Mhm.
Another question from do kids suffer from stress? Rizky Dean is asking again. Budak-budak boleh kena stress ke?
Boleh, boleh,
Ah,
boleh
budak-budak tu
sangat.
kira macam budak yang
Budak.
boleh stress juga.
Okay, budak-budak depends on many ages, different stresses.
Huh?
Nowadays with gadgets, it's a different topic altogether. But memang budak-budak boleh kena stress.
Mm-hmm.
This is such a wide topic. And
Mm-hmm.
this one, you need a child psychiatrist to give you this topic. But
Mm-hmm.
the answer is yes, memang boleh kena hati-hati. Okay.
Okay.
How they can get stressed? So many things. So
Okay.
many things.
Example.
Example, okay, usually the parents lah. Usually the parents, usually the school, usually
Okay.
peer pressure, usually bullying. See, the topic
Uh-huh.
is very big. Once you start this
Okay.
topic, it goes in a different paradigm altogether. Bullying,
Okay.
bullying is a very hidden thing which kids don't reveal, but it is the source. And then
Mm.
there's another thing which I really um okay. Uh Sexual how do I say this? Yeah, sexual abuse to children.
Right.
Even in between boys also, a lot of that happening in Malaysia. I know that for a fact.
Okay. Okay. So
I don't
yes,
know
there's a lot
real
of
thing.
it's a huge area. So that would be another episode. If you'd like to know, let us know in the comment section. Okay. Clara Amili is asking, excessive sleep is also a source of stress ke?
Okay,
When
macam ni. Excessive sleep could be a warning sign of too much
you
stress. It could be a warning sign of depression. So just now I have so much to talk, but I couldn't
mm,
explain every single thing because, yeah, it's a
macam
lengthy
mana
one.
tu that it's a
Okay,
warning sign of stress? Can you help explain?
makan and tidur, right? So
Mm,
if you're so stressed, sometimes you have a lot of appetite, so you tend to binge. So you tend to put on weight. And you tend to sleep too much because you're just so fatigued, tired, penat, tak jelas. But
mm,
if you are so stressed, you also don't want to eat. You also
mhm,
lose weight. And you
mhm.
also don't sleep. Insomnia also got. It can happen. It can
Either
either happen. Yeah, it can happen either or. You can have insomnia and binge. You can have insomnia and bulimic, anorexic. You can have excessive sleep and the other way.
Okay. And Jasmine Liu's question is cancer can also cause by stress? Or is cancer caused by stress? I think that's a good
Uh, okay, this question is very, I would say, a very vague, general question.
uh-huh.
And I cannot, okay, directly no.
Direct.
Directly no.
Mm-hmm.
But stress is such a naughty culprit that they can cause a lot of effects. And long term, okay, let's just say someone who has so much stress that they have gastritis. And they have so much gastritis that they can get stomach infections. They can eventually one day, God forbid, might even have some kind of stomach cancer. It could happen. It could happen. But if you say directly, cancer can also cause stress, not directly.
Right. Okay. Not directly. Okay, cool. Thank you for that. And I
Mm.
think we'll take one last question before we go to the quiz, which is what you guys are waiting for. Yeah. So Merpati Kalisa is actually, what a beautiful name. Me got
Yeah.
me got
Merpati
stressed and
Kalisa.
burnout sometimes. And then I asked, "Are you a caregiver?" Merpati says she's got a 4 son, and I'm like, "Oh, okay." Yeah. So,
You're
oh
a
yeah,
super mom.
yeah, and Merpati actually said she hampe depression doc. Sometimes got problem, still find things can make me happy or just acah acah be happy. Sometimes people around are not supportive. How doc?
Okay.
So yeah,
So
what's your advice?
sometimes you share your deepest thoughts with someone and then it backfires. That can happen. If that happens, don't give up. It's okay. Tak apa. That person is not wise enough to be the person to be your support. When you find yourself at the point where you're giving care and you're so tired and you feel like not give up like that, right? Um, you need to, like you say, acha acha happy, right? It's true. Laughter is a very good humor. Humor is a very good short term win, but how much of humor can you use? Because the workload is still there,
Mm-hmm.
right? The whatever you are deprived of is still there, your time for yourself. So you need to find ways to make time. You need to talk to your spouse, for instance. Say, I need me time. I need me time. Maybe you can explain to the kids, if the kids are big enough, that mommy needs a little bit of me time, something like that. But if the children usually all kecil-kecil, there's no such thing as understanding. They're just going to jump on you. So, so maybe you can try to figure out a way where you can be smart about it. Do an activity that you like, where you can implement them together. You do dance together.
Mm,
Okay,
okay,
contoh.
that's
And
fantastic.
then you can also get a sibling of yours who you know can take care of your kids. Take time out, but not
Mm,
always, but once in a
mm,
while. Important.
mm.
Hmm?
Yeah. Okay, cool. So self-care is very important, yeah, Mupati.
Mm.
Super important. And she said that sometimes she shivers as well.
Okay.
She's
Oh,
like,
you shiver,
is
yeah?
that a
You
thing
feel like
of
bada like that, is it? Yeah,
uh,
Marpati? Is it you feel like you have palpitations? Is it like that? If you can
um
say yes somewhere.
yeah.
Okay, I'm assuming it's something shivers in terms of like jantung berdebar-debar, you feel uncomfortable, right? Because if you say shivers, cold means I'm thinking of fever. That's different. We think of
Uh,
COVID and all these
so
things. But
her question
mm,
is actually, doctor, while I was eating at Tesco, all of a sudden I was shivering. Is it called anxiety?
okay. So anxiety, yeah, it could be. It could be if for no reason suddenly you feel very awake sense of palpitation. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
palpitation maksudnya like jantung berdebar-debar like that, right? So then you probably should just get yourself checked. First check the clinical part whether jantung are okay or not, and also check the anxiety score.
Mm-hmm.
Most likely it could be a positive anxiety score. So if that's the case, just speak to someone who is the right person. A psychologist will be good, a psychologist or a psychiatrist. Don't think about cash at this moment. You know why? You want to address this early. Don't simpan lama-lama. Okay?
Okay. So
Particularly,
moral of the, yeah. So moral of the story, guys, if you are having, shivering, anxiety, please go and get yourself checked. Don't keep yourself quiet. Okay, can do. You can get easily and effortlessly. Okay, so now we're gonna go into the quiz. Can we have the quiz questions if all of you are ready? Okay, but first, what do you need to do to win? First things first, you have to share this video out at least 3 times. So remember to set the share post to public so everyone can see it. Next, answer the 3 questions that I'll be asking in a little bit on the screen. And please make sure your answers are in a single comment and you are on your way to win the prizes, which is a pulse oximeter. All right. So first things first, you want to share the video out 3 kali or 3 times, and remember to set the post to public so everyone can see. Secondly, answer the 3 questions that I'll be showing on the screen shortly in a single comment, and we will select the first 3 winners based on speed, the correct answer, and the shared post. Okay, are you ready? Let us know in the comment section. Say yes. Okay. So first question. 1 in 3 women, satu dalam 3 wanita are caregivers. True or false? 1 in 3 women are caregivers. True or false? Caregiving burnout can result in emotional exhaustion, mental exhaustion, and physical exhaustion. Is it true or false? Caregiving burnout can result in emotional exhaustion, mental exhaustion, and physical exhaustion. True or false? It is recommended for caregivers to practice self care and self compassion. Is that true or false? It is recommended for caregivers to practice self care and self compassion. Is that true or false? Okay, so while waiting to hear from the winners, let's go back to some Q&A. I've got a question from Joe Zigo, Doc. Joe Zigo is asking, does caffeine help to reduce stress?
Okay. So caffeine, it can reduce stress if it works for the person. Some people, caffeine can actually cause more palpitation. It depends on the
Mhm.
person. Me personally, I like coffee. It's delicious, but when I take it, I berdebar-debar. For
Ah,
some
yeah, same
people,
here.
but for some people, coffee, you can't live without it. You can't function without it. You can't think without it. So, uh, each to his own. If you like it, it helps with your stress. By all means, go, but not too much.
Okay, got it. So it really depends on the person, yeah, Joe Zigo.
Yeah.
Next question is from Jasmine Liu. Jasmine is asking, what is the difference between depression and anxiety?
Mm. Okay, depression is when somebody has, okay, depression, I would say, is a bit more major than anxiety. Anxiety, you have, um, okay, anxiety, you have symptoms like your heart starts beating very quickly. You
Mhm.
feel restless. You can't rest. You can't really think calmly. You get angry, irritable. That's more to anxiety. But when it comes to depression, you are low mood. You are down. You feel hopeless. You see, it's different. It's different
Mhm.
altogether. But depression is a bit more dangerous, I feel, is because actually we can't say that, yeah, because anxiety and depression can coexist in one person. It can happen. But when someone has depression, the tendency for them to fall into suicidal tendency is there. Whereas anxiety, not really.
Wow,
That's the
okay.
difference, yeah. That's the difference.
That's a difference. Okay, cool.
Mm.
So William Tungadi is asking a question. His father has prostate cancer stage 4, and William actually gets stress, depression, anxiety. Will die. You will die, or your father? Please help me from Indonesia. So, what's your advice for
Oh.
William? Hmm.
Okay, so the question is, William, your dad has prostate cancer and stage 4. I get stress, depression, anxiety. Please help me from Malaysia. Okay, so William Tunggadi, um, you have symptoms of stress, you have symptoms of sadness, depression, and anxiety. What do you mean by will die? What do you mean? Is this because you're worried that your dad will one day leave you? Or do you mean, are you worried that you yourself have symptoms that you feel that, because anxiety, you tend to feel like you're going to, your heart beats so fast. Sometimes you have chest pains that you actually feel that you might die, you know. Sometimes anxiety presents itself that way. So I think, William Tunggadi, what you need to do is you need to get assessed. Not because of anything, yeah, just to get assessed. You might need a little bit more than just someone talking to you. And I think do it fast. You know why? Because your dad needs you, and you need to get healthy soon, William. Yeah. Okay. There's a anxiety and depression score. It's called DASS 21. You go online, you look for it. DASS 21. You fill in that questionnaire. You will know roughly where you what picture are you looking at. And my advice is you need to see a professional, not just stop there, because sometimes the doctors know how to help you, yeah, they really do. It's not just a simple thing. Mental health is very important.
Okay. Wow.
Hmm.
Super important. So Jasmine is saying, I think one of the mistakes we think that we can handle, but actually it's too difficult. I think that's such a good share. It's awareness. Yeah. I think there's no more question. And Simran, who's a teacher, says that she can tell how some parents break down and speak about their trouble juggling their kids and their work, especially during lockdown. So she can
Mm,
imagine the additional responsibilities of having family members who are not well as well. So
exactly,
yeah, and she's
exactly.
also saying that positive thinking is so crucial, especially in these
Mm,
difficult times. So stay
right.
strong and positive. Absolutely, absolutely
Yes,
true. And
definitely.
yeah, Sasi is saying thank you, Dr. Tyron Gill, for guiding me to come out of anxiety a few months back. The breathing exercise tips and video you shared a lot help. There you go.
Thank you. Actually, when I worked in the 4 years of mental health clinic that
Mm,
I have worked in, because I worked in the government sector, so we see a lot of people who can afford a psychiatrist,
mm,
and a lot of people have a lot of struggles, but you don't know where to share. So you just need a
mm,
safe space where you don't feel judged, and someone
mhm.
helps you to make your decisions for yourself. You
Right.
see,
Okay.
being
Mhm.
with speaking to the right person is important. Thinking positively is important. Being around positive people is important. So
Mm,
what the teacher Simran said is very true. It's very
yeah.
true. Yeah.
And I actually even tell people if you're not being surrounded by positive people, then I think it's time to make new friends because you really need to have a positive surrounding. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true.
And you also want to check in because are you taking care of yourself? Are you loving yourself? Are you putting yourself first? If you're not, you'll see it in the situation around you. The people will not
Yes.
treat you kindly. So you first need to take really good care of yourself, and then
Mm,
the world around you will sort of shift
mm.
to reflect that belief of yours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a chain reaction.
Mm,
When you are thinking negative, you are stressed, you will the next thing you do will also be unknowingly negative, and you never know how you impact another person unknowingly.
mm,
For instance, you are maybe stressed over mom not finishing her food, which you took a hard time to feed. Maybe the mom has dementia or something. Tapi when angry, you marah the kid. It happens.
mm,
It happens. So after that, you have to deal with regret that you didn't want to do that, but situations are such.
mm.
Just now, I think someone named Siba was saying that you you
Let me see
received a
more.
video from me.
A video. Is it?
Is it? I think you read.
Oh, Siva said, thank you for the mindful video breathing. It
Okay.
really
Yes,
helped.
yes, yes, yes. I do think that's why I really vouch for that video, because you take a
Mm,
very short amount of time. You don't need to take 15 minutes. You can do it anywhere. 3 minutes.
mm,
So please,
mm,
please go on YouTube. I do not know who are the people who made this video.
mhm,
Their views will increase. It's fine, but yeah, you watch
mhm.
it because it's good. It's good.
Okay. So the video is called Mindful Breathing, right?
Yeah, with that symbol, the simple green symbol. Yeah.
Yeah, with that circle thing. Okay, good.
Yeah.
So that can immediately help you. Yeah. So first things first, check in with yourself and breathe deeply. Okay, let's take a look at the quiz answers. We've got our winners. Yeah. How many of you ready to win that pulse oximeter? Let me know in the comment section. So many people are giving answers. Yeah, I hope
Woo, that's wonderful.
okay, cool. So now let's take a look at the right answers first. Yeah. So 1 in 3 women are caregivers. The answer is false. Caregiving burnout can result in emotional exhaustion, mental exhaustion, and physical exhaustion. Yes, the answer is true. 1 in 4 women, by the way, are caregivers. And it is recommended for caregivers to practice self care and self compassion. The answer is true. And the winner is, are you ready? The winner goes to Merpati Kalisa, Ethan
Yeah.
Clara, Amelie. Congratulations. All right.
Good,
Now,
good, good.
for all our winners, congratulations. We will be contacting you after this within a day. So do check your Facebook Messenger inbox because we'll be reaching out to you to get your details. So definitely make sure you check your inbox because otherwise you're not going to get your oximeter. Okay. So in fact, we'll take it. Okay. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, that was a really insightful session, and so many comments are coming in saying that yeah, they want to hear more like this. Yeah, Clara, you are the winner. Congratulations, Ethan, as well as Kalisa. Tak sesia ada nama sedap kan? Cik.
Yeah.
And
Sedap nama.
Rezeki, yeah, Rezeki Deed is so funny because he already said congratulations to all winners even before I announced. Well, the others are still coming in. So thank you, Rezeki Dean. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. It's been such an insightful session. Thank you, Dr. Artiran. I learned so much. What is your
Thank you.
biggest learning today? Let us know in the comment section.
Yeah,
For
let us
me,
know.
I think, yeah, for me, it's, it's really important. Even though we have family members who need a lot of care, and the first thing we do is we want to take care of them, we want to be there for them, but we sometimes forget that we need to take care of ourselves, that we are
Yes.
also important. And if we don't pay attention to ourselves, we're not going to give the best versions of ourselves to our
Yeah.
loved ones. Yeah. So remember, your cup has to be full and overflowing, and then we can come from abundance and giving people. So thank you so much, Dr. Artiran, for reminding me of this very important thing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
And to
you.
be positive as well, right? So
Yes.
thank you. Yeah. So we learned so much. I think they want to hear more from you. So thank you, especially on mental health. Yeah. So that's all the time we have for today. But before that, please give a round of applause to Dr. Artiran for sharing. It's been
Thank
such an
you.
awesome episode.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay, so that's all the time we have for today. We hope you have learned a thing or two, and if you know someone who's really going to appreciate from today's tips, information, and insights from today's show, please share this video out. Tag them to anybody that you know, because it's going to help make a difference in their life. And
Yeah.
please do give us a lot of love and like as well while you're at it. Thank you, Mary Hannah. So nice to see you again in this episode. So thank you again. Till then, take care of each other and yourself. And of course, in the next few weeks, I think our flood victims are going to need a lot of support. So help them in whatever way
Yes.
that we
Yes.
can, because we can make a difference, even one of us. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
We'll
Okay.
see you in the next episode.
Kita
Bye.
jaga kita.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Okay. Bye.